Welcome back, everyone. If I want to approximate the length around a curve, so I have some function, let's say, and I have a picture of a function here, and I want to approximate the length from one point to another on the curve, I could draw a straight line from one end to the other to try and approximate. Here it's a really bad approximation. So maybe I break up my interval into two intervals, or I break it up into 3 subintervals, and I keep breaking it up more and more. And if I use the straight line distances as I keep breaking it up more and more, you can see that the approximation that we're getting becomes better and better. We get a more accurate approximation the more subintervals we use. The idea, of course, with integration is that if I can break this subinterval up into an infinite number, or approaching an infinite number, of subintervals and then add those distances together, we will use an integral to do that, and we'll get the exact length around the curve. So let's look at how we might do that. We're going to zoom into one of our little subintervals. So here, let's say I've zoomed into one piece of my approximation. Our approximation is going to be made up of these little distances. Here I've called it d. We want to think of our distance d here as the hypotenuse of a right triangle. That allows us to use Pythagorean theorem with a right triangle. So we have one leg being a change in x, delta x, and one leg being distance change in y, delta y. And Pythagorean theorem distance formula tells us that if I square these and add them up and then take the square root, that will give us the distance d. Now what we know in calculus is that if we take delta x or we take delta y and we allow those to get smaller and smaller and smaller, they become this idea of dx or dy, this infinitesimal amount of x and y. And so as we look at many subintervals tending toward infinity, then our delta x and our delta y become these microscopic values dx and dy that we're probably familiar with from integration. So the problem with this statement here is that we don't really have anything that I can say integrate dx, right? So the dx is in here, it's a term, it's being squared, it's square root. We don't really want that. We don't want operations on dx as part of our integral here. So what we really want to do is find a way to get a dx outside of this expression. So what we'll do in here is we'll actually factor out a dx squared, or what you might think of as divide by dx squared in the second term. So we'll get this expression here. If we factor out a dx squared, there's not really a dx squared in the second term. So when we pull one out, we end up with dy squared over dx squared. So we get this, and that dx squared is now sort of separated. And what we'll do with this is we will now pull it out of the root. It's a perfect square, and we can pull it out as a single dx term outside of the root. And we will get something that looks like this. So the dx is now on the outside. That looks a little more like what we would have in an integral. We have this root, we have 1 plus, and if I go ahead and think of these differentials here as a single fraction squared, we get dy dx squared. And this dy dx we would think of as like an f prime of x, right? So if I bump the dx to the back and I rewrite this in prime notation, then I get this kind of a formula for the length around the curve. From some x value a to x value b, we get the square root of 1 plus f prime of x squared. Notice that the square only applies to the f prime. So what we would do first is we would find the derivative of f of x. We would then square it, add 1 to it, square root it, and then we would integrate it from a to b, assuming that we can do that. So just to wrap up here, before you hop along to our example videos, so you can integrate in terms of dx or dy, depending on if your curve is a function of x or y. If it's a function of x, use dx integration. For y's, use dy. The first thing you'll do in this process is you'll need to take whatever you have for f of x or f of y and find its derivative. You'll do that, and then you'll square it. That will take care of that. Then you'll add 1 to it and do your integration. Your integration will often involve a substitution. It's very likely you'll be left with square root of something, or maybe the square root simplifies, but you have something sort of odd underneath, and maybe you're not sure how to integrate. So oftentimes the integration will involve a substitution, or what we're going to call very convenient factoring. Check out our examples, I believe, 2 and 3 video. You'll see what I mean by very convenient factoring. These problems must have very specific functions to be able to integrate these by hand that you can actually do. Because of the formula being a little strange, it is possible that you will find it's very odd to figure out how to integrate what you have left over. So when you get to these problems, just be aware there may be some very convenient algebra maneuvering that you may need to do. Okay, so check out our example videos on this, and we'll see you in the next one.